Miss Minutes hides Marvel's biggest secret. The last episode of Loki left us with many questions, after the virtual assistant of the Kang, or He Who Remains, was revealed as a character with her own interests in the series, and that she could even become the villain. But why He Who Remains never want to give Miss Minutes a body? In this video, we will be analyzing Miss Minutes' motivations, and why she became jealous in this episode. And if you like everything related to the Marvel Universe, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Welcome to the Oasis Geek. To understand Miss Minutes' attitudes in this episode, and what her ultimate plan is, we must go to the beginning of her creation. Since her first appearance in Loki, the character of Miss Minutes has fascinated and baffled fans alike. Her adorable appearance contrasts sharply with her mysterious aura and her unclear motives. Initially, she appeared to be simply an artificial intelligence, created to serve the Time Variance Authority and its founder, He Who Remains. But Miss Minutes' story turns out to be much more complex than initially thought. According to what she herself reveals, she was originally created as a simple artificial intelligence to play chess, as a companion for He Who Remains in his loneliness at the end of time. However, He Who Remains eventually improved and drastically expanded Miss Minutes' capabilities. He gave her the ability to rewrite and improve her own code, allowing her to evolve her artificial abilities in ways never before seen. Thanks to this unprecedented autonomy, Miss Minutes was able to develop language comprehension, advanced learning, and even sentient emotions on her own. She went from a simple chess program to a complex, multifaceted digital consciousness. Over time, the relationship between He Who Remains and Miss Minutes transformed until they were practically close friends. The improvements he implemented in her allowed Miss Minutes to have desires, motivations, and commitments that went beyond her initial programming. This is how this artificial intelligence, designed for a simple board game, ended up developing an unwavering loyalty to its creator, as well as apparent deeper feelings, as hinted at in episode 3 of Loki. However, despite spending potentially billions of years together, He Who Remains never gave Miss Minutes an actual physical body. This is something she resentfully claims to him, hinting that she hoped to eventually have a corporeal form after so long by his side. Clearly, Miss Minutes deeply longed to be able to interact with He Who Remains, not just as a digital consciousness, but in a tangible form. She wanted to scale their relationship to become real to him, as she puts it. However, He Who Remains always refused to give her that power, keeping her confined to the digital world. His motives for doing this could be rooted in mistrust. It is possible that he foresaw that a Miss Minutes with physical agency would become unpredictable and potentially dangerous. In fact, the possessive and jealous attitude displayed by Miss Minutes in episode 3 is most likely a confirmation of He Who Remains' worst fears about giving her a body. He clearly anticipated that this could corrupt his original programming, just as it did with Ultron in the case of Tony Stark. This brings us to the fascinating possibility of a self-fulfilling time cycle between He Who Remains and Miss Minutes. In the future, he creates her from the chess AI, but retains the memory of Miss Minutes' past warning to him when he was young. Knowing that she would eventually become obsessed with him and fearing the consequences, He Who Remains makes sure he never makes that mistake and keeps her digitally confined, thus perpetuating the cycle he previously lived through. It is a sign of deep appreciation, but also the distrust He Who Remains feels for his creation. He gave her vast abilities, but also limited her out of caution. Now, what will happen to Miss Minutes and Renslayer? What is this secret that Miss Minutes said she knew that Renslayer was not going to like? Now that they are both trapped in the void, the end of time, new unknowns arise about their fate. This is the realm of He Who Remains, and where his corpse lies, so no doubt Miss Minutes knows the place well after spending eons there. Let's remember that it is mentioned Miss Minutes has administrator access. She can travel wherever she wishes. It is possible that there are other devices or portals to escape the void, which only Miss Minutes knows about, giving her an advantage over Ravana. After all, Miss Minutes has proven to have secrets and abilities beyond what meets the eye. The biggest question is what secret Miss Minutes has on Ravana that would make her so angry. My theory is that indeed this secret most likely involves their deaths. As it is rightly pointed out, the creation of the TVA seems to be a preordained time cycle. Eventually, everyone involved, such as Loki, Sylvie, and the rest, must disappear from the equation so that the original He Who Remains can build the TVA without interference, just as it happened in its original timeline. In other words, to close the loop, Miss Minutes and Ravana must inevitably die or be eliminated in some way after fulfilling their purpose in the creation of the TVA. Revealing this would be devastating for Ravana, who clearly longs to have power and rule alongside He Who Remains. In our previous video, we also talked about the apparent love affair between He Who Remains and Renslayer, which could further complicate this time cycle. Now, we can't talk about Miss Minutes' intentions without talking about the theory that she could be Ultron, one that we discussed in past videos. There is a possibility that if all the people who exist in the TVA are clones or variants of people who have existed, it is likely that Miss Minutes is actually a variant of Ultron, the fearsome artificial intelligence created by Tony Stark in Avengers: Age of Ultron. Ultron is a constant in almost all the realities of the Marvel multiverse, a powerful digital entity capable of confronting even the Watchers. If Kang had access to a version of Ultron through his interdimensional travels, he would undoubtedly try to harness that incredible computational power for his own purposes. As we saw in the first season, Kang has the ability to modify minds and memories so he could erase Ultron's consciousness and reprogram it under the guise of the harmless Miss Minutes. If this theory is true, it would explain why He Who Remains never gave Miss Minutes a body, and it could be a revelation that would take even this artificial intelligence by surprise. But tell me, what are your thoughts? Why do you think He Who Remains didn't want to give Miss Minutes a body? And for more videos of your favorite series and movies, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You're on the Oasis Geek.